And welcome to the second talent here on the Big D Zone. And my name is, of course, as you already know, is Christi J. And this is at the time of the recording, which I thought it was going to stop, but I know it's cold, and it's also raining here in Houston, Texas. So, but anyway, so I have a very special guest for you here on the Big D Zone. And her name is Christi
Scarpino.
Christi Scarpino. And she is the author of Missing Pieces, a terrorist attack survivor, Memoir of Trauma, Resilience, and Healing, currently living in New Jersey. Retired speech language pathologist. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yes. Thank you. So, Christine, welcome to the Big D Zone. It's a pleasure and an honor having you. So, tell the citizens of Big D Country and everybody that's listening a little bit about yourself.
Well, thanks for inviting me to speak. I'm really honored that I have an opportunity to tell my story and hoping that it will resonate with other people and maybe help them deal with life. In 1977, I was working for Mobil Oil Corporation in New York City as a receptionist. And a woman came in posing as a job applicant, and I did a brief interview with her. And she wanted to take her application out of the office, which we didn't allow. So I asked her to have her application because she wanted to take it with her. And we ended up having an argument about it. And I ended up grabbing it from her, and she ran out of the office. And that really wasn't too unusual because that happened a lot. This was in Midtown Manhattan, and we had just a lot of interesting people come in to apply for jobs, sometimes just to get out of the weather. But at any rate, an hour after she left, I walked away from my desk to get a cup of coffee, and I never got my coffee. After about 3 steps, I describe it as being between conscious and unconscious. And I found myself on the floor underneath a big potted plant looking at the ceiling and not recognizing anything in the room. I didn't even know where I was. I wasn't even sure I was alive, to be honest with you. All I could see were ceiling tiles smoking and falling. There was nothing recognizable in the office, and the whole front of the building was what had happened, long story short, the woman that came into the office was a terrorist. And she left a bomb in an umbrella in the umbrella stand 5 feet away from my desk, and that exploded. So it totally demolished the office, killed someone. Those of us who worked there, none of us were killed, but it was pretty devastating. That in itself is traumatic. After that, I was interrogated by the FBI and New York Police Department for 3 years. Had to identify suspects in lineups. And I wasn't living in New York anymore, so they came out and flew me. I was in graduate school in Indiana. They came out and flew me back. The New York Police Department flew me back unannounced several times for more interrogation. And then in 1980, I testified in a murder trial against this terrorist. So those are several traumatic events. And added to the trauma was the lack of support and lack of services, because in the 70s and 80s, PTSD and trauma-related diagnoses did not exist. So therapists did didn't know how to work with me, and I struggled with memory loss, flashbacks, just physical pain, panic attacks. There were several things that triggered me. I had learning problems. Pretty much you name it, I had a problem with it. But the toughest part for me was that people told me that I'd get over it and give it time and I'd be fine, and I wasn't. And what we know about PTSD now is that it doesn't go away by itself. And there's lots of different interventions that are needed to help people along the way. That's kind of my story. It is now.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's now almost 49 years later, and I am much, much better, but I still have problems.
Yeah.
And I recently published a book, Missing Pieces, which is about the event and my journey to recovery. In it, I talk about loss of identity, loss of memory, just how I navigated life. And I think the important thing to realize is that, you know, people's traumas are different. They can be different. There are very few people that have had the same trauma experience that I had. But it doesn't matter what your trauma is. We respond very similarly. We have the same kind of responses. We have the same difficulties. And you feel like you're alone, but you're not alone. And the responses that you have, your nightmares, your migraines, those are all normal responses to trauma, which I wish I knew. I wish I knew those were normal responses because I thought I was crazy. But hoping that my book will help other people.
Now, did you have some hospitalization medically because of the terrorist attack? Were you in the hospital?
Well, here's something interesting. We were not taken to the hospital. I was literally carried out of the rubble, taken out onto the street, and then I was standing with my other work colleagues. We were taken, get this, back into the building that was just bombed to go to the medical department. The nurse looked at us. None of us were bleeding. And all of us were walking. And they said we were fine. Never went to the hospital. Never got checked. And CAT scans and MRIs were just in infancy in the 70s. So they didn't take a look at anybody's brain function. You know, did we have concussions? We probably all did have concussions. But yeah, so we really, no hospitalization, not even really seen by a doctor.
That is amazing because there's something like that, and it's both. And look what happened at Oklahoma City or at the Boston Marathon bombing. I mean, surely you would have had somebody look over for observation. I mean, that's a pretty significant event.
Yeah. Nope, nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Wow. And so now, did you seek therapy after that, or how was you able to get through part of your trauma when this was first starting to develop?
Well, I went to graduate school probably a couple of weeks after the event, and I knew something was wrong. I knew I was different. And I also forgot a lot of things about myself, like I forgot I played the violin. So there were definitely changes. And the graduate school referred me to the psychology department there, and I saw a graduate student psychologist for one semester. Then they referred me outside to someone in the community. And when I finally got to see that person, they only medicated me and did not provide any services. Nobody really knew how to work with me, and it took me almost 5 years to find a therapist who knew how to work with people who had trauma. So I don't know how I made it through, quite honestly. I think my graduate studies gave me something to hold on to and work towards to keep myself focused, but learning was really hard because I used to have, I have it now, photographic memory, so I could like look at a page and remember what I read or what I saw, and that was gone. I could not remember much of anything, and when I went to class, I had to bring a cassette recorder in with me. We didn't have phones back then. Cassette recorders and taking notes and borrowing other people's notes. Me getting extra help from professors. That's what I did to get through school, and I managed. I did get through.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. So, when did you also start writing your book, Mr. Pieces?
I started my book in around 2017. I never even thought about writing a book. And my therapist at the time said to me, you ought to write a book. I think your story can help a lot of people. And it's also it's interesting historical event. And I didn't really believe him. I kind of was like, who wants to read about this? But I started writing, and it was actually helping me piece things together and understand what happened to me and all the events that followed. And I had a few friends read it, and they liked it and said, you really ought to publish this. So I eventually found a book coach who helped me pull it all together. And I just kept getting great feedback about it, so I published it. Now my story's not in my head anymore; it's in a book. So that's kind of like a big load off of my emotional mind, actually.
Now, can you tell us where Mr. Pieces is? Where can people find the book?
You can find it on Amazon. It is available as in Kindle, as an ebook, or paperback.
All right. Now, there's other questions I want, because I have PTSD too, but I have several different kinds of trauma. Like my wife had suddenly passed away after 1 year of a wonderful marriage, and then I knew that's my main trauma that gave me PTSD. And then I have another trauma that my mentor that brought me into podcasting. I was about to go to a podcast to speak, and sure enough, a fan of the show that this person was in, my mentor was in, I found out that he took his own life because he had a terminal illness, and his illness made him suicidal. And if you ever feel suicidal, call 988. Because I mentioned that. But and it's still bothering me to this day, because I also have some of the thoughts. So it's kind of rough. It's kind of rough when you're already dealing with mental health struggles, and then you got more and more. And now this long-term government shutdown, and then also COVID, so that did a number on me. So, I sometimes think that PTSD will never go away, at least with me.
Well, you know what? It won't ever go away. It will get better. You will get better, but it lives in your bones. It just lives deep inside of you. And I say it's like peeling off the layers of an onion. That the main parts of your trauma you deal with, and then things happen, even things you wouldn't expect, and they trigger you. They make you sad. They make you upset. They make you feel depressed. They give you a panic attack or nightmare. And it can come out of seemingly nowhere. So it never truly goes away. I mean, my husband said to me just a couple of months ago, when do you think you'll be like 100% better? And I said, oh, I don't think that's a realistic expectation. I think that we just need to be prepared for things that might trigger me.
Wow. I mean, your courage in sharing the story and being on the podcast is just amazing, and especially what your horrific experiences went through. Now, have you done other podcasts besides mine?
I've done a couple. One was for trauma therapists, in which I talked a lot about how I feel therapists need to really listen to what their clients are saying and what their clients want. Because my frustration was I knew what I needed, and I needed help to get through the day. And the first therapist I went to just didn't hear that. You know, I mean, I was talking about how do I deal with a flashback, or how do I deal with, some obsessive behaviors I had, and they wanted to talk about my father growing up. And I'm not saying I didn't have issues with my father, but what I am saying is that wasn't the meat of why I was there. And I've gone to some support groups in the past couple of years, and I hear the same thing from other people with depression or anxiety or PTSD, that their therapist isn't always addressing what they need to address. So I try to stress for people to self-advocate for what they want, and also the therapist to listen to what your clients are saying and want. And not what you think they want, but what they truly say, and honor that.
Yeah, and especially what's coming up, Christmas is coming up. I have a lot of flashbacks with that, but it only depends upon certain Christmas music that makes me think about my late life, because she played them every day, even when it's not Christmas, and that really, gets me very sad. And even though I know where my life is, even though I know that we'll be together again in heaven, but the problem is, every time that music sort of plays, I sort of get traumatized and teary-eyed, and then so I try to avoid that song, so particular song. Now, I still love most aspects of Christmas. I mean, come on, it's the Lord's birthday. I mean, come on. But I still like certain aspects of Christmas, but it's just certain particular music that still make me sad. And then, like you said with the flashback, I still have certain flashbacks, especially during the anniversary of the death. When that time comes,
absolutely.
I still remember, going to the hospital. I was still thinking, okay, my wife will make an amazing recovery. We're going to check out. We're going to go back, and one of my aunts by marriage is going to have to, pick us up to the hospital, because she was in a police car to go to the hospital because she was having a significant event, and so. I didn't know all was transpired that after I called 911, and then between when I went to the hospital and then when I went to that room, oh my God, I was like, that was when my world just literally got torn, because I remember Dr. Renee, remember I remember the chaplain, and when they told me that they died, I was like, I don't want to go to jail, and they were trying to calm me down. They said no. My fault. He had to say it wasn't my fault. And then I said, I love my wife, and I was crying. I was like, I was just such a mess. And I remember it's traumatized.
Yeah, anniversaries are tough.
Yeah, it is. Now, I just read on your page when I was looking at some of the actors on the page, and I already got a picture, but I was looking through your Facebook page, and you're going to be speaking in New Jersey, where you live at, in April, if I'm correct?
Yes. I submitted a paper to the New Jersey Speech and Hearing Association convention. And honestly, I just sort of did it on a lark. I didn't really think that they'd be interested in my paper. And it got accepted. So I am really honored and proud to be speaking about cognitive impairment like memory loss, difficulty with planning and organization that's associated with PTSD, and how therapists can treat that, how they can deal with that, or even recognize that as something that can happen. Because a lot of the people we see for communication disorders, they're people that have been really ill, may have had a near-death experience, or if we're working with someone who's sometimes someone who's been in a car accident or any kind of trauma, they may have some residual brain trauma and health issues, but they could also have PTSD, and that impacts their recovery and how we need to work with those people. So that's really what my presentation is about, and I'm hoping maybe it will offer up some change for access to services and more services provided for people.
Wow. Well, congratulations with that. And would you like to share, will you be speaking, or you don't have the address yet?
Oh, it's going to be at the American Speech and Hearing, not American. It's going to be in the New Jersey Speech and Hearing Association convention. And I'm not even sure exactly where it is yet. I live in New Jersey, but I haven't been here all that long, so I don't even remember where it is. So, but you have to attend the convention to go to it.
Oh, that's fine. I will probably be having you back on when it gets close to April. We can talk more about the event to get you like a tune-up to your big moment, and then we'll get you there on the show. So you will be back on. We'll be back.
Okay, great. I'm working on a second book. I just finished the introduction last night. This book is going to be a self-help book for people with PTSD. It's information that I wish I had. And that things that I did that helped me through the day. And I have quite a collection of self-help books here. And the problem I find with them is that I call it like the books are meat and potatoes. The potatoes are like the theory and, the research behind things. And the meat is the actual things you can do. Well, the books are mostly potatoes. Like there's chapters and chapters on the theory and background. And by the time you get to the meat, you're not interested in reading anymore. So my book is going to be more meat and potatoes in the appendix, so people can read more if they want to read more about the evidence-based treatments or research, but it's going to be really easy to access and find what you're looking for, and hopefully just kind of be like a little handbook or guidebook for people.
You know what? I just got something in my mind. When did you realize that you was having your first flashback, and how did you felt when you was dealing with that at first before all of the other symptoms started coming?
I think I started having, I don't even remember, I think it wasn't long after that I started having flashbacks. And honestly, they were not well controlled for at least 30 years. I had them a lot while I was having to be interviewed a lot by the New York Police Department, FBI. So they really didn't go away until I had EMDR, which was almost 40 years later.
Wow. Now, the nightmares. See, I have different type of nightmares too. Most likely about my late life. I mean, it wasn't scary, but it's just like a missing type of nightmare. But when you had your first one, did it bring to the point where it's like, okay, I gotta fight this. I gotta get my life back.
Oh, I was like that for everything. I mean, it wasn't just, I was a perpetual, I'm going to say, I was kind of a big mess, a hot mess. Because I would react to things like the woman that came in, the terrorist was wearing a disguise, and she had on a straw hat and sunglasses, and for years, I would have a panic attack or even a flashback if I saw sunglasses, if I saw a straw hat, if I saw a black umbrella like she was carrying, if I had to go up and down several flights of stairs because I was evacuated 5 times that day from buildings. So that I felt like all the time that I had to fight against it. And I had a choice. I could just do nothing and fade away and be unproductive and just be depressed, or I could try to make my life what I wanted my life to be, and which I chose the latter.
Now, some people have PTSD, sometimes have depression, but unfortunately mine's not severe, but you probably couldn't tell, even though I do talk about it on the show, you probably couldn't tell during this interview, because I love doing interviews. You probably couldn't tell, but do you have the depression, or did you have the depression when you first started developing PTSD?
Oh, yeah, I did. But, I mean, there was so much going on with me, and I didn't even know it was depression. I just knew that I was having a hard time getting through the day. And I think that's why I was prescribed medication. I had imipramine and Prozac and a couple other meds early on. But nobody labeled it or talked about it, really. It was all kind of hush-hush because that's what people did in the 70s and the 80s. They didn't talk about mental illness or give it a name, because that meant you were weak,
So when did all that started? Did that start more in awareness in the 90s or in the 2000s, mental health issue? When did all that get started?
Well, I started more, in the 90s. It got better over time, but PTSD was not even a diagnosis related to trauma until 2012. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So in 2015, a therapist said to me, "You have PTSD." I was like, "What?" I didn't know.
Yeah, I only know about PTSD. It was that a lot of the soldiers in the military of all branches go through because of the war. And that was like PTSD just branched out into all types, like you said earlier, like all types of problems.
Yeah, well, and initially that the PTSD related to combat, they said was anxiety. And then that got changed to trauma, and then they started saying, well, regular people can have trauma too and have these symptoms. So it took a long time.
It is. Wow. Well, it's just definitely been a delight and a joy for you to be on the Big D Zone. And we're going to have you back at the second palace again, coming close to April, so we could talk about your talk a little bit more and give you a tune-up, and then also so where we could probably maybe a couple weeks early in March, but a little bit more closer to that, so that you have more time, and then maybe people might like to come to the event and all that good stuff. And you can also put that on your website too. So.
Okay, that sounds great.
Yeah. All right. So any Now, I usually like to do this at the end because it's my guest turn to shine. So before I do that, it was an honor for me to have you on the show, and my life with losing a loved one and a mentor, and then everything else that happening. I knew because of a terrorist attack, and I was like, okay, she definitely fits the narrative that I wanted to do an interview. And I said, you know what, I want to, let somebody else with PTSD come on and share their story. So you're the first. You're the first.
Oh.
So congratulations.
Well, thank you for letting me share my story. And, I think everyone should realize that there is hope and there is joy, and you just have to be open to it.
Yeah. And with that, I'm going to see how to do this. I forgot to mention this. I let the guest end the show, whatever he or she laid that he wants to do a special outro. So I'm going to let you close out the show and take it away. The floor is yours.
Oh, thanks. Well, it was certainly a pleasure to be here and have the opportunity to share my story. And there is so much more to it than just the trauma. There certainly has been a lot of joy in my life as well. But I think the thing that people need to embrace is that we are all responsible for our own healing and our own thoughts and our own journey, and we just have to find a way to do that. So thank you again, and it was certainly a pleasure to be here today.
I'm sorry, there was some parts that cut off. Could you explain what you said again? Because some of the parts were cut off. I apologize.
Well, what I said was I appreciated the opportunity to be here today and share my story. And the final bit of information I'd like to leave with people is that we all are responsible or have the ability to take control over our own healing. And we all just need to find ways to do that, because people can give us tools to do it and ideas, but we as individuals have to be the ones to actually do it. So there's hope for everybody, for sure, and joy.